Barbadians and businesses urged to continue to monitor the progress of Tropical Storm Tammy and to activate their emergency contingency plans. Consumers brace for the impact of the fuel adjustment clause on their electricity bills. A 70-year-old man loses his life while working at Guinea Plantation in St. John. And in sports, Barbados athletes ready for tomorrow's start of the Pan Am Games in Chile.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you for tuning in. In our top stories tonight, Barbadians are being told to expect to be impacted by Tropical Storm Tammy. At 5 p.m., the island remains under a tropical storm watch. And joining us now to tell us what we should look out for is Director of the Meteorological Services, Sabu Best. Sabu, good evening.
Good evening, Lisa. Good evening to everyone.
Hi. Okay, so start by telling us exactly where Tammy is located.
At 5 p.m., center of Tammy, this is our radar imagery, by the way. At 5 p.m., center of Tammy is located at 13.7 north, 56.6 west. Tammy is moving towards the west-northwest around 14 miles per hour, 13 miles per hour, sorry. These are actually feeder bands we see wrapping around the system. We've been monitoring this the entire day. And later on tonight, some of these bands will start to make their way in or across Barbados, so we expect in and out showers. The winds are associated with these bands on the southwestern periphery system are not that strong. It should be pretty much normal. But come tomorrow, as the system tracks the west-northwest and into tomorrow afternoon, we expect to see the wind shift, start to come from the south and southwest across the island and increase a bit. It's going to be a windy day, especially in the afternoon, Friday afternoon, and then going into the night, the winds will pick up more, especially when you have heavy showers around. Winds can gust up to storm force. That's not an unusual thing when we have a lot of shower activity or strong convection. We've had it many times with tropical waves. It's not unusual. The key is sustained winds of 40 plus miles per hour for extended period of time. We do not anticipate that from Tammy on her current projection. However, I have to say, this situation is fluid. Tammy's center of circulation is pretty broad. The aircraft has found multiple centers inside the general circulation. We think this is because it's being sheared, so it's elongated a bit. That could consolidate as it continues to move towards the west-northwest. We update you if that does happen, and then if that happens, Tammy can have the opportunity to actually intensify. I wouldn't be surprised if for the next advisory, the winds will actually decrease the power, because the reconnaissance is not finding, at this point, 5 p.m. and now coming up to 8 p.m., haven't found winds back up to 60 miles per hour. So Tammy might have weakened a bit because the deep convection has weakened around the core of the center.
Right, so the message then in all of that to Barbadians is to be watchful, and we're telling them to put their emergency contingency plans in place. What exactly should we be doing at this time?
Beautifully said, exactly. Can I say it better myself? Be watchful right through the whole night. We're going to give you updates, ball by ball coverage right through the whole night, what's going on with this system. And like we mentioned before, because it's so fluid, if Tammy, let's say, because it has a broad center of circulation, if the center reconsolidates or forms somewhere further south or it wobbles, a warning could be issued at short notice. But Tammy has been well behaved so far. Let's give her credit for that. She's been well behaved in terms of her current trajectory. So pretty good confidence that trajectory or track should continue to tonight into tomorrow. The curvature, like you mentioned, further towards the northwest come tomorrow afternoon. Now, any deviation from that, like I said, can obviously mean that the center can come closer to Barbados. The winds from the southeastern periphery that we're watching, which are barely just under tropical storm force winds for the most part in the southeastern periphery, they were not stronger like earlier today. Those winds are expected to pass just north of Barbados, as the center pass just about 100 miles to our north come tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, good, because I was going to ask you that. Exactly when are we going to start feeling some of this action?
Yeah, so imagine, okay, so Tammy is slowing down. And if Tammy slows down more than expected, then that expected time of passage will vary. But we can give you a range, not an exact time, a range. And so the center should be north or north-northeast at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then north and north-northwest coming in the afternoon, very early afternoon. And as that happens, we get on the backside of the system, and those showers and strong convection that comes up on the backside of the system, we can expect to see an increase in showers. It should be a rainy afternoon, especially the later part of the afternoon and into the nights, Friday night, and possibly some extent into Saturday morning. We can welcome the showers, so let's embrace them with open arms. There will be some gusts with those showers. There will be gusts, and those gusts can reach storm force. But sustained storm force, we're not seeing that right now.
All right, thank you very much. That is Sabu Best, the Director of the Meteorological Services here in Barbados, giving us an update on Tropical Storm Tammy. Thank you very much, Sabu. Well, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has been making some adjustments in preparation for the passage of Tropical Storm Tammy. Joining us tonight to tell us about these changes is Shane Seeley, the Communications Specialist at the QEH. Good evening, Shane.
Good evening, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Certainly. So tell us about what's happening at the QEH in preparation for Tropical Storm Tammy.
Well, as we are expecting some worsening weather, as Mr. Best would have said, they're coming in the afternoon tomorrow, that afternoon period. We serve a vulnerable population, Lisa, so we don't want the elderly or those who have to come to our clinics and for other services to be caught in that adverse weather. So the management team decided, as part of our emergency management plan, that we should suspend outpatient clinics at midday. We will also cancel elective surgeries after midday and going forward. And the pharmacy, that will be closed from midday. We did extend the hours this evening up to news time, up to 7 p.m., so that our patients could make those last minute adjustments and come for their medication. Those who would be running out of medication, who may not have medication for the next 7 days, could have used that time to come here to the pharmacy and get their medication. With all of that said, accident and emergency remains open, Lisa. But we want people, if they have questions about the urgency of their medical condition, there is an option. You can call our patient advice and liaison service. We've been really pushing this. We want people to call 536-4800. We have doctors manning those lines, and they can get their questions or queries about their medical condition answered there, so that they can make a better decision for themselves. If they need to come to accident and emergency, we can have those doctors call an ambulance for them in the case that it is an emergency. So a lot is being done as far as that is concerned. But we've decided to close some of our services at midday to accommodate for the possibility that weather could become more severe just after midday going into those evening periods. So we don't want people to be caught here at the hospital in that weather.
Thank you very much. That is Shane Seeley, the communication specialist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, telling us about the plans for, in the event that Tropical Storm Tammy impacts Barbados, suspended service at the outpatients clinic, cancelling elective procedures, and the pharmacy will be closed. Thank you very much, Shane.
All after midday. All from midday going forward.
Thank you very much. The Barbados Light and Power Company says its teams are prepared for the passage of the weather system. Speaking to members of the media during a conference call this evening, Managing Director Roger Blackman said they anticipate some impact from both the rain and the wind.
The company is fully prepared, and we've taken all the necessary precautions to mitigate the potential impacts of the storm. At this point, based on the weather reports that we've received, we expect that we would start to see some heavy showers tonight, and then perhaps winds and gusts pick up around 2 a.m. in the morning. So that's the best information. But of course, we continue to monitor the reports from the weather services, the Met Office, and so on. So we do anticipate some heavy rains and strong winds, and of course, those conditions can undoubtedly pose some challenges for the grid. But once more, just want to assure everyone that, our hurricane preparedness systems are in place.
Mr. Blackman adds their planning and preparation start well before the start of the hurricane season and continues throughout. He says announcements by the Met Office of impending systems activate their response process. Meanwhile, the power company has revealed an increase in its fuel clause adjustment, or the FCA, for September, but the continuation of reduced VAT on residential electricity bills should help cushion the impact on consumers. Light and Power's FCA for September was announced at about 39 cents per kilowatt hours, up from 2 cents last month. The FCA is basically what it costs the power company to produce electricity. The BL&P's Manager of Customer Services, Rodney Doughton, says the Ministry of Finance has since confirmed the discontinued VAT rate of 7.5%, which ended on September 30th, has been extended into early next year.
It will run from October 1st this year until March 31st, 2024. And that's an extension of the VAT rate of 7.5% for the first 250 kilowatt hours for residential customers. As a result, we have delayed the October billing, awaiting that news. And since receiving that news, we began our billing process on Wednesday. So customers can expect to, given the timing of printing and mailing of bills, the first set of bills we anticipate should go out on Monday.
He adds customers who use e-billing would see their bills from today. The BL&P official has also given an update on the discounting process.
The discount is primarily driven by the date that we do the billing on the account. So I want to assure customers that the discount date would automatically be adjusted, as well as the due date for which they have to pay the bill by. So we know the bill is late, the discount date and the due date on the bill, both of them would be adjusted to reflect the day of billing.
The Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry says the fuel adjustment charge will have an impact on consumers, especially those who are high users of electricity. President James Clark believes the government's partial VAT relief on electricity rates will help residential customers, but he says the fuel adjustment strengthens the need for the change to renewable energy.
The movement of the fuel adjustment clause does highlight the need for some measure of energy independence for Barbados, as we seek to reduce the impact of exogenous shocks on our energy costs and running costs. And obviously everything that, in terms of oil, because we import so many things, anything that requires oil, which is nearly everything to come to Barbados, the fuel increase in prices also has an impact on that as well.
Well, now to this sad story. A St. John family is mourning tonight after the suspected drowning of an elderly man. The incident occurred on Guinea Plantation, where he worked. Here's Sharika Griffith with the details.
70-year-old Carlisle Beckles was in the process of watering lime trees on the property, a task he has done countless times, when tragedy struck. Earlier, he had been raking grass cut by his co-worker of about 3 years, Kevin McCollin, but stopped to tend to the trees. McCollin recalled the deceased would normally get water from the pond, but this time, because of reduced water levels, he had to go a little lower than usual.
He went for a bucket of water for the pond. He slipped in the pond, and I ran for help. The third time, he ran over 2 times, and the third time, he come back up. Got a few years, traumatized. Yeah, I don't know, yeah, still feel away.
Acting Communications and Public Affairs Officer Sergeant Liesl Gabriel said Police Operations Control was informed about the incident around 10 minutes after 9 in the morning. The body was eventually retrieved from the water shortly before midday.
Assistance was sought from the Barbados Coast Guard in retrieving the body, and a medical doctor pronounced death at the scene. Family members also identified the body, and he is Carlisle Hilary Beckles, 70 years, of Guinea, St. John.
As news of the tragedy spread, family members arrived at the scene. The victim's nephew, Wayne Beckles, has described him as hardworking.
My uncle was easygoing, cool. He would do anything for anybody. Very simple person. Church going as well too. And he will be missed by the people who loved him and so on and so forth.
The deceased had no children. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Barbados has called on international agencies to stop treating Caribbean countries like financial pariahs. Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley made the plea in response to the recent blacklisting of Belize and Antigua and Barbuda by the European Union Council as non-cooperative jurisdictions for tax purposes. The EU said apart from the new additions, the other Caribbean countries included are Anguilla, the Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, and Turks and Caicos Islands. While addressing a session on access to finance, which examined global financial architecture reform at the ongoing CARICOM Canada Summit, Ms. Motley warned of the consequences of blacklisting.
Effectively, companies will de-risk as a result of the enhanced due diligence that must be put in place in order for them to continue to do business. Similarly, the correspondent banking issues continue to bedevil my brother to the right and too many of our countries as if we were financial lepers or pariahs. And the absence of the international financial institutions and the G7 and G20 countries to recognize the disproportionate consequences on our people are simply unacceptable.
Canada has offered to pause debt repayments for countries hit by natural disasters. The announcement was made by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau during a session on climate change as part of those CARICOM Canada Summit, and that's happening in Ottawa. In doing so, Canada joins with other international lenders like the World Bank, which have agreed to insert climate clauses in their new loan agreements with countries. The Bridgetown Initiative, a set of recommendations on debt relief and climate change promoted by Barbados, calls for such climate clauses. Meanwhile, during a meeting on regional security, it was announced that Canada is to partner with the Barbados-based Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, or CDEMA, to facilitate coordination on regional emergency response.
We're committed to doing more to support you in the months and years to come. We cannot but watch the news today and over the past 10 days with horror and understanding the impact on citizens in all of our countries, either Jewish or Muslim, of the tensions in the Middle East. We will certainly be talking about the situation in Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank during this regional discussion as well. But much of our time will be focused on Haiti, where we're going to be making sure we're all well prepared in the stability and the prosperity that we need to continue to build and restore in Haiti.
In the meantime, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, asked for Canada's help in stemming the flow of illegal guns and ammunition. He says recently states have seen an explosion in the use of firearms. Among the areas highlighted through which Canada can assist is with the training of police officers.
We need improved police training and more effective policing, and this is an area where we believe that Canada can help us with, because your management of policing is something quite significant. And again, collaboration, cooperation, and training the trainer, and getting some assistance with our mid-level police officers, middle to upper management police officers, to bring about better management of the criminal onset. That would can help. And most importantly, a significant amount of this crime and criminality is operated using cyberspace.
Coming up, we have news about the Barbados Labour Party's upcoming annual conference. Stay with us. From next Friday evening, thousands are expected to converge at the Darrell Jordan Secondary School in St. Lucie for the Barbados Labour Party's 84th annual conference. The three-day event gets going on the 27th and ends on the 29th. Apart from the execution of party business, highlights will include an address by party leader and Prime Minister Mia Motley and a speech to be delivered by Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew. CEO of the Barbados Labour Party, Senator Patricia Paris, provided some more details of the weekend's activities, including an awards ceremony.
At this ceremony, we will be recognizing 34 stalwarts, comprising of one from each of the 30 constituency branches: the Women's League, the League of Young Socialists, the New York branch, and the UK branch. We will also be recognizing 5 persons for their outstanding contribution to sports in Barbados, 4 persons who made contribution to culture. 4 persons will also receive environmental awards. Other awards include the Milroy Wreath and the highest award of the party, the Grantley Adams Award.
Noting preparations are advanced, Conference Chair Peter Phillips is encouraging people to come out to the events.
All systems are go. Everything is being put in place as we move a little bit closer to that date, to those dates, which will be just within a week or so. Now this year we have chosen as our theme BLP at 85. Crafting our future responsibly.
The Princess Trust International Barbados is boasting of a high success rate among participants in its teen program. Team leader Sergeant Roger Williams is singing the praises of the latest cohort of 17 young men and women who were part of a teen challenge that partnered with local charity Fishers of Men, where skills learnt were put into play. The charity was on hand at Jubilee Gardens in the city for its breakfast program. Sergeant Williams says the partnership started with this latest cohort.
Princess Trust International Teen Program. It's a self-development program for young persons between ages 16 to 25 who are not working or not in school. The program focuses on skills such as communication skills, self-confidence, managing your feelings, working with others, job search skills, reliability. Now, these skills help participants in the program after they have graduated to fit into the workforce. It also helps them in their personal development to develop themselves as young individuals.
October 19th is a significant date in the history of Grenada and the Caribbean. On that day, 3 decades ago, the U.S. invaded that island. Our Sherwood McCaskey and the team were in Grenada recently, producing a documentary series titled Resilience of the Spice Isle, looking back on the events of the day and the aftermath.
On March 13, 1979, Maurice Bishop and the New Jewel movement overthrew the Eric Gairy government in Grenada. However, 3 years and 7 months later,
Grenadians will never forget the events of October 19, 1983, the day when Maurice Bishop, Prime Minister and leader of the New Jewel movement, together with colleagues Jacqueline Kreft, Eunice Whiteman, Evelyn Bullen, Evelyn Maitland, Keith Hailing, Norris Bain and Fitzroy Bain, were lined up against a wall at Fort Rupert St. George's by members of the People's Revolutionary Army and shot in cold blood.
This event further escalated the crisis and intensified the calls for international intervention, occurring on October the 25th.
It was a lot of firepower. We had F-16 bombers, warships outside of Grenada, including USS Guam, USS Saipan. There were at least 15. We had about 400 people trying to defend us. That was basically what was available at the time. We have instances where soldiers would have left home and never came back. and bodies again have never been found.
The situation in Grenada underscored the complex relationship between regional and international politics and the principle of national sovereignty and intervention. Former UWI Cape Phil lecturer, now professor at St. George's University, Wendy Grenada, reflects on the lessons learned 40 years after.
That despite challenges, despite odds, we've come from a tradition of overcoming. There is something, an instinct, there's a spirit within the Caribbean people that allows us to overcome and overcome yet again. And I think the Grenada Revolution has taught me that even as it imploded, it never died. The spirit of resistance, the spirit of resilience, the spirit of wanting more for a people who deserve more is still alive and well.
Sherwood McCoskey, CBC News.
Well, that series, Resilience of the Spice Isle, begins at 8 this evening. Don't you miss it. It was back to college of sorts for the 1973 class of the Barbados Community College as they celebrated 50 years since enrollment at the St. Michael Institution. The classmates got together for a cocktail reception at the college's Hotel Palmerine, located at the Jean and Norma Holder Hospitality Institute. Kishmar Singist reports.
It was a double celebration as the reunion came in the 55th year of the establishment of the BCC. Congratulatory messages were also extended and celebratory cake cut, marking the milestone. BCC Principal Annette Allen says the college since its opening in 1968 has expanded. She says the college has played an important role in shaping the lives of the 1973 class.
It was 1973, imagine this, a group of teenagers, I'm sure they were teenagers, who shared a surreal experience of being students at the Barbados Community College in the early stages of its genesis. 50 years later, are now meeting again at that same institution to celebrate lives well lived, friendships that have withstood the test of time, and their success in life, which is in large part credited to that institution.
Anne Henry, who spoke on behalf of that class, says the former Sherburne House property was ground zero for their education. That property is now home to the Lord Erskine Sandiford Conference Center and Ross University. Ms. Henry says the BCC was an educational trailblazer, an institution other countries mirrored.
But what we all had in common was a keen desire to embrace the opportunity of the educational diversity then presented by the community college, which brought together a wide cross-section of Barbadian students with a couple of Antiguans thrown in for good measure. Although Harold Lovell of Antigua came to the community college in 1973, he went into year 2, and so therefore he was not one of our classmates. Over the next 2 years, we would forge new friendships, which for many of us have continued over many years, as we have each gone on to live lives of value to ourselves, our families and friends, our Caribbean community at large, and beyond.
And Lady Hewitt reminisced on her teaching years at the BCC. She says she enjoyed her stint at the college.
I think of myself first as a teacher, and everything else comes secondary. I did leave teaching at some point to go into private sector, to go into a commercial BS&T. And there I did training, but it was not the same because there were older people. I hope I had an impact, but I truly enjoyed being a tutor at Barbados Community College. That was the best part of my career.
A monetary presentation was also made to the BCC. Kishmar Singis, CBC News.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
The Barbados Food and Rum Festival continues to receive international acclaim and awards. This year's events are back, bigger and better. Crystal White has more.
The Barbados Food and Rum Festival has been awarded the Best Culinary Caribbean Festival Award by the prestigious World Culinary Awards. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Incre Increase shared the news during a media welcome launch last night.
The announcement was made at a special awards ceremony in Dubai on Monday. Now when we say we are the culinary capital of the Caribbean, we can add the best culinary festival in the Caribbean. This accolade is testament to the dedication, passion, and hard work that has gone into this festival success story. A huge part of that success lies in the hands of our talented chefs and mixologists.
Mr. Gooding Edgell also thanked the BTMI team that led the initiative, with a special thanks to the Director of PR and Communications, April Thomas. Thomas credited the team's aggressive marketing campaign for what is now the most successful food and rum festival to date.
So this year, we doubled capacity on a number of the venues. So you'll see more people, more food, more chefs at Rise and Rum and at Liquid Gold. We have 4 completely sold out events, and that is a huge milestone for us, being able to sell out these events, some of them a full 2 weeks before the event happens. So we're extremely glad to see that happen.
She shared a breakdown of ticket holder demographics.
So the Chef Classics, which are our cooking demonstrations, we've seen a split with 56% visitors attending the Chef Classics. Again, very excited to see that 50-50 split. The Junior Chef Football Competition, 80% visitors purchased tickets to that. Again, major milestone for us. The Rise and Rum Breakfast Beach Party, 33% are visitors. The Liquid Gold Feast, 24% of visitors are ticket holders. And lastly, the Rub Root on Friday night, a whopping 93% of those ticket holders are visitors. And this shows us that we created a festival that people want to fly to Barbados for and want to be a part of.
The festival, under the theme Feed the Future, officially begins tonight in Oistins and is expected to be a weekend of good food, lots of rum, and even more fun. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Executive Chairman of the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation, or BEF, Celeste Foster, believes Barbados can become the entrepreneurial hub of the region through initiatives such as the Foundation's annual $20 Challenge. She made the comments as the 2023 edition of the challenge was launched at the Cave Hill School of Business.
The challenge affords young people the opportunity to gain a real-life insight into starting and running a business in a safe environment where they may unleash their creativity. They're able to take reasonable risks while being mentored by seasoned business professionals as they navigate the vagaries of entrepreneurship. Our multi-pronged approach provides training for our professional network and education partners alike, since we believe that everyone has an important role to play in developing the entrepreneurial landscape we see, such that Barbados, sometime in the very near future, can be the entrepreneurial hub of the region. Our hope for attaining that goal, while delayed, remains very much alive.
Let's head back over to the sports studio for part 2 in sports. Anne-Marie?
Well, Lisa, the Pan American Games officially get underway on Friday in Santiago, Chile. And today, CBC's Damien Best was in the Athletes Village for a first-hand look at the accommodations as the athletes were busy fine-tuning their disciplines.
Leading the way at Friday night's opening ceremony will be Barbadian skeet shooter Michelle Elliott. She, along with badminton athlete Kenny King, are the official flag bearers of the team. The parade follows a traditional order, with Argentina leading the procession as the first historical host of the first Pan American Games, and Barbados is penciled in for 5th after Antigua and Barbuda, Aruba, and Bahamas.
It's a massive honor as an athlete. Winning medals is fantastic and doing these things, but being asked to hold your country's flag is a phenomenal experience and a huge honor and a privilege that I get to do and that very few get to do.
Well, today media were taken on a tour of the Athletes Village, which is located in the Cerrillos community. It has 17 towers and 1,355 apartments. After the games, families in Chile will be able to access those apartments. Elliott says the accommodation is good, but it's the unpredictable weather that has been challenging.
The temperatures vary anywhere. Early in the morning, it's about 8 degrees centigrade, and it can go up to about 27, 28 degrees centigrade. So you just have to dress accordingly. So lots of thin layers, which we have been given and we're equipped with. And, you know, when we go around and compete throughout the world circuits and that kind of stuff, we also face similar conditions then. So we are experienced in it, and it's just a case of coming a few days early, which we have done, and acclimatizing, getting out there earlier in the morning like you would for competition timing, and feeling the cold, and then as it warms up, stripping off some of those layers and being comfortable at all times.
From a competition standpoint, the 38-year-old still has her eyes set on securing a place at the Olympics.
Competition is going to be stiff. I am up against some really, really good shooters, but I'm quietly optimistic. It's going to be good. There are quota places up for grabs here, and that's my main objective of this shoot. But it is going to be a difficult one, but great set of people. We shoot together all year round through all the world circuits and everything, so it's going to be good.
Reporting live from the 2023 Pan American Games right here in Santiago, Chile, Damian Best, CBC Sports.
And we're back just in time to thank you for tuning in tonight. Remember to keep listening out for updates on Tropical Storm Tammy. Whatever you do, stay safe. Good night.